Feed Your Family Tonight podcast. Each week, we are serving up motivation and inspiration to help you get weeknight dinner on the table, letting you recapture a little calm in the crazy. And now, your host, speaker, author, and married mother of four, Mariefiebach.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Feed Your Family Tonight podcast, episode 117. I'm your host, Mariefiebach, and today we're going to talk about 4 tips for getting dinner on the table faster. Do you have trouble getting dinner on the table in a timely manner? Maybe it takes way longer to make dinner than you think it does, and you underestimate the amount of time that a dish is actually going to take. Oh, I can do this in 30 minutes, no problem. Or maybe you are working on something and think, oh, just let me get that next load of laundry put in, then I'll get dinner started. That way the laundry's done when I get dinner done and I get one more thing done during the day. Does this sound familiar? You are not alone. As busy parents, we have a lot of demands, and getting dinner on the table is just one of them. But if you neglect getting started in a timely manner on dinner, you're going to end up with kids that have either snacked their way through the afternoon and don't eat dinner, or everyone is hangry. How do I know this? Because I have been there 100 times myself. So today we're going to talk about some tips that will help you get dinner on the table faster. The first tip is plan ahead. Now, I know that's what I always say, but it really is true. A little bit of planning can save you a lot of time. If you do not have my weekly meal planning sheet, it is free. It is at feedyourfamilytonight.com/plan. Go and get your copy of that, because that weekly meal planning sheet helps you think about when you're going to eat and the kind of activities that you're having in the afternoon so that you can plan meals that work on a busy day. One of the biggest tips for getting dinner on the table faster is choosing the right kind of meal for the right kind of day that you are having. If you are having a day that is back to back to back to back to back, you want something that is pretty hands-off cooking. But other days you might have a little more time and you can actually be standing at the stove stirring dinner. So the first thing is planning meals that work on the kinds of days that you are having. The other thing is that you want to plan ahead. On the weekly meal planning sheet, I have a place for prep. You want to write the prep on the day it needs to be done, not the day of that meal. So you want to think about, when do you need to be thawing meat? How big is that roast? Is it going to take 3 days to thaw in the refrigerator? Is it going to thaw overnight in 24 hours? But put that on the day that you need to do it. Things like soaking beans. And lately, one big piece of prep that has been our meal plan, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll notice we have been having homemade pizza almost every Saturday night. It's kind of been a little bit of a winter tradition for our family, and we've gotten a lot of joy out of it. But I have found that the pizza dough tastes better if I make it 2 or 3 days ahead of time. And then on my busy Saturdays, I don't have to think about making the pizza dough. I just have to actually put the pizzas together. So for me, that has been an important piece of our prep. In my mind, if I can't get dinner on the table in 45 minutes of hands-on, me personally in the kitchen, then I need to put a piece of that on prep, because I need to do it ahead of time. And sometimes I need to do it earlier in the day, on the day of the meal. And sometimes I need to do it a day or two ahead of time. But I have that prep there so that when I go to cook, I know that I can get dinner on the table in 45 minutes. Another little piece of planning, and I learned this trick from Lisa Woodruff, but before I go to bed, I pull out an index card and I write the tasks that I am going to do that day. And it is a combination of home tasks and work tasks. And I put them all on the index card, and I have my priorities, and I kind of start putting them into blocks of time. And I do this before I go to bed because my brain kind of thinks about it while I sleep. And sometimes I'll start moving things around saying, oh, if I drop off my daughter at school and then run to the pharmacy and then run to the grocery store rather than waiting to go to the pharmacy until after I pick up my daughter from school, I can be much more efficient with my time. And this works with dinner too, but being more efficient earlier in the day is going to give you a clearer, cleaner slate when it is time to fix dinner. The second tip that I have is to observe. Start tracking how long tasks really take. I think in my head that I can get salads put together in 5 minutes, but maybe it really takes me more like 10 minutes to do it. Or I think in my head that I can cook pizza for my family in 30 minutes, but in reality, it takes me more like 45 minutes to a full hour. Start looking and seeing how long cooking tasks actually take and make either a physical or at least a mental note of that so that you can better estimate your time. Oftentimes, people that are writing recipes are food professionals. And I've heard Stacey Billis and Megan Splon talk about this on Didn't I Just Feed You? And I think it's really true, is that when you are working with food every day, especially if you have had culinary training, your knife skills are better. And you can get a lot done faster in the kitchen simply because your knife skills are better. If you are wanting to level up your cooking game, taking a knife skills class can be something that can really, really help you. I know years ago, there was a local chef who had a restaurant and she offered cooking classes on Sunday afternoons, and she was offering a knife skills class. My husband and I were early married. I think it was even our first year of marriage. It was kind of an expensive class, but I told him, I said, I really want to take this class. And can I tell you that in 4 hours, she leveled up my knife skills game to, I am not a professional chef. I am not a ninja when it comes to the knives, but I certainly am a lot faster than your average Joe. So if you ever want to invest in yourself and have the opportunity to take a knife skills class, I highly recommend it because it will make you faster in the kitchen. But my point in saying this is professional recipe developers are often faster in the kitchen than the average mom and dad cooking dinner on a Tuesday night. And so if it says it's going to take 5 minutes of prep time, I want you to look and see what you're actually doing during that prep time. And if you know that you're not fast with the knife, estimate a few more minutes because it's going to take you a little bit longer. So observe how long it really takes you to execute some of these tasks and start adding that to the time that it's going to take you to get dinner on the table. My next tip, which is tip number 3, is to do things in the right order. Can you do some of the cooking tasks at the same time, which is what Lisa Woodruff would call task stacking? This is not multitasking, and I will talk about that in a little bit because multitasking will slow you down, but task stacking will make you more efficient in the kitchen. Let me give you an example. Is maybe you can have the meat cooking in the pan while you are chopping the veggies because the meat's going to take a while to sear, and you know that you can chop that amount of veggies in the amount of time it's going to take you to get the chicken cooking in the pan. When you're doing things like a stir fry, it goes so fast that you want everything prepped ahead of time. But there are lots of other recipes where it's better to kind of prep as you go. Start with the thing that needs to go into the pan first, get it going, and let that time work while you are doing the next step. You want to make sure that you are doing tasks in the right order. For example, if I am having a dish that has rice, our family prefers to eat brown rice over white rice most of the time. Brown rice takes 30 or 40 minutes to cook, even in the Instant Pot. And so if I am cooking dinner, I need to start with the rice before I even take anything out of the refrigerator to get it cooking, because the rice is going to take the longest amount of time, and it kind of gets better if it cooks and then it just sits at the proper temperature on keep warm for a little bit longer. So you want to make sure that you do the tasks in the right order. If something is going in the oven, you want to get the oven preheated as soon as you step in the kitchen, because once you start cooking, it's easy to forget to turn on the oven, and then you're going to have to wait for it to preheat, which is going to make dinner take longer. You want to make sure that you are doing tasks in the right order. I've talked about this before on my apron episode, but it's really important. I'm going to repeat it again, is if you are working outside the home, you need to have an apron. Really, everybody needs to have an apron. Aprons are like adult bibs, and they are the most wonderful things in the world, especially ones with pockets that you can put things in, and they keep your clothes from getting all yucky, and they also get your brain in the space that I am working on this task. But back to those of you who are working outside the home. So many times when you come in from work, I have done this. The first thing you want to do is get your work clothes off and get on your comfy home clothes. But if you can hold off, put on an apron so you don't get your work clothes icky, but start cooking something. It might just be getting the water to boil for the pasta, or it might be getting the oven on preheat, or maybe it's to chop a few veggies and get a little bit of chicken marinating in some soy sauce. But if you can get a couple of steps done with an apron on, you are going to save yourself 20 minutes, maybe even longer, because we all know that when you change your clothes, then you want to look at your phone and you want to quick check Facebook and you want to check in with your family and see what's happening. But if you can take a few minutes and get dinner started before you change your clothes, you will get dinner on the table so much faster. If you are not working outside the home and you're like me and you kind of get into task mode and you lose track of time, you probably want to set an alarm on your phone to remind you that you need to stop what you're doing and go and fix dinner. How many times have you gotten into a task and you think, oh, it's only going to take me 5 minutes more? And 5 minutes turns into 50 minutes. And pretty soon your family is cranky and hungry and asking when dinner is going to be ready. And when they start asking that, you know that they've tipped over into I am hungry and I want food now mode. And you're going to feel the pressure of having to get dinner faster, and it's going to actually slow you down. Which transitions into my fourth tip, which is try not to multitask. When you go to cook dinner, try and focus just on cooking dinner. Whatever you are doing before you go to cook dinner, try and turn that off. If you're at your computer working, physically turn off the computer. If you've been helping your kids with your homework, say, I'm going to go and fix dinner now. Whatever you are doing before, try and complete that task so that you can fully focus on fixing dinner. When you are trying to fix dinner and help a kid with homework and chat to your mom on the phone, your brain slows down and you start doing the task slower. If you can really focus on one task at a time, you will be so much more efficient in the kitchen. Now multitasking is different than that task stacking and doing things in the right order that I talked about a little bit earlier. When you go into the kitchen, you want to have a game plan of what order each element of dinner needs to be done. It's like Thanksgiving dinner is kind of the Super Bowl of that, where you have to plan what's going into your oven at what time so you make sure that everything is cooked at the same time. But a Tuesday night dinner sometimes has 2 or 3 elements that you're cooking, and you want to make sure that those are done at the same time too, and you want to start the tasks in the right order. But that is not the same as talking to your mom on the phone while you're cooking dinner or helping your kid with your homework while you're cooking dinner. Now, this is really hard if you are a mom of little ones, because don't you know that the second you step into the kitchen, even if your kids were happily playing, doing something completely on their own, they will be there at your leg, hanging on you, whining because they're hungry and wanting to help you. I'm not afraid to have my kids help me in the kitchen, but on busy weeknights, I really want to just focus on getting dinner on the table and then focus on them. If you have kids of little ones, this may be the time to use some screen time, but you want to use that screen time wisely. Get as much prep as possible done before you let them turn on the show. Don't let them turn on the show before you've even gotten into the kitchen and gotten everything out on the counter, the things that you can handle with them around. And then let them start the show when you are ready to focus on the work of getting dinner done. Each family has their own ways of dealing with children, especially when they're little, but I know that it's harder not to multitask when your kids are little, but try and avoid it as much as possible so that you can focus on dinner and get it on the table faster. So there's my 4 tips for helping you get dinner on the table a little faster. You want to plan ahead. If you don't have that weekly meal planning sheet, go to feedyourfamilytonight.com/plan to get a copy of it. You want to start observing how long it takes you to do the actual cooking. Make a note of that, either physically or at least mentally, so that you can make better calculations for the amount of time it actually takes to get dinner on the table. Do things in the right order. Things that take longer, you want to start first. You can do some task stacking when you're doing things in the right order. You get the rice cooking, and then while the meat is cooking, you can start chopping the vegetables. But try not to multitask. When you are working on dinner, focus as much as possible on just getting dinner on, rather than helping your kids with your homework, talking to your mom on your phone, whatever other things that can take away your attention. I hope these 4 tips help you get dinner on the table a little faster. I would love to connect with you in the Feed Your Family Tonight Facebook group and hear your tips for getting dinner on the table faster. You can join that. Just go to facebook.com/feedyourfamilytonight and click the join group button. For now, friends, it's been a joy talking with you. Have a great week. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Feed Your Family Tonight podcast with your host, Mariefiebach. If you like the show and want to know more, please visit feedyourfamilytonight.com. And if you'd like to help support the show, please leave a rating or review on iTunes or Apple Podcast. It helps spread the word that you can feed your family tonight.